All right, so thank you for joining us for Finding Your Right Fit, Preparing to Thrive, and How to Select a School and How to Prep for the Start, presented by our partner, William and Mary. This session is designed for prospective MBA and specialized business master's students who want to make confident, informed decisions about their graduate education and start strong once enrolled. If you're interested in learning more about William and Mary, you can find them on our website under the Member Benefits section. So it's my pleasure to introduce Amanda Barth. She's the Associate Dean of Graduate Admissions and Recruitment at William and Mary's Raymond A. Mason School of Business, where she shapes the direction of graduate admissions through strategic planning, leadership of admissions, and scholarship committee, and comprehensive domestic and international recruitment efforts. So please join me in welcoming Amanda.
Thank you so much, Matt, and also to Danny. Greetings, Beta Gamma Sigma membership. It is a pleasure to be here today for this session, Finding Your Right Fit and Preparing to Thrive, how to select a graduate business school and how to prep for a successful start. As Matt said, I'm Amanda Barth, Associate Dean of Graduate Admission at William and Mary's Raymond A. Mason School of Business, located in Williamsburg, Virginia. And we are proud Beta Gamma Sigma partners. It's a pleasure to be with you all today as we begin to think through the tips and tricks for preparing to apply to graduate school, finding the right fit, and ultimately preparing for a successful start. To get us started today, I'm going to skip right over to the first slide, which is the most crucial part of preparing for graduate study, and that is defining your why. As we are counseling and coaching students, we are constantly encouraging them to define their why, to clarify their career goals for graduate study. And that might mean that candidates are ready for an MBA or a specialized master's because they are making a career switch, sometimes switching industry, and sometimes just switching out the functional role within an organization. We do a lot of pre-program counseling to truly ensure that a candidate is going to get everything that they're looking for out of our curriculum and program structure, and that we can provide them the tools and the knowledge to enhance their career and to make that pivot. We also work closely with students at the graduate level who are working to accelerate their careers or to gain meaningful promotion opportunity, to climb the ladder, so to speak, within their company or organization. Business schools also have avenues for entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial exploration. This could be another important pathway to business school. You might be creative and entrepreneurial and want to start your own business, but missing the foundation to help you do so. Business school is a great avenue to help you build out your entrepreneurial skills. We also consult students and encourage them to identify the skill gaps that they need to fill. I use the expression a lot with my students, you don't know what you don't know until you're fully immersed in a program. Identifying your skill gaps is really essential to identifying the right program for you. For example, you might need to build your communication and soft skill development through a program. These might be the two areas that are most important to your development at this stage in your career. Therefore, you'll want to identify programs that give you meaningful opportunity to pursue leadership projects and initiatives and perhaps work in learning teams so you can continue to build those soft skills. Identifying the gaps is a really important exercise, and we encourage everyone to do that before they apply to a school. I talked a little bit about utilizing graduate study to make a career switch or to consider a different industry, but I also encourage students to reverse engineer your why. And what I mean by that is ultimately you need to start thinking about your dream company or your dream organization and what that ideal job opportunity looks like. If you can land on a couple websites like Google or Microsoft or Nike and start to look at the positions available that are most attractive to you, then you'll want to scroll down to see what they're looking for in a qualified candidate. And once you see all the skills and responsibilities that they're looking for, then you can start to determine which types of graduate programs are going to help you. A job listing might say specifically that it's seeking out an MBA. Then that's a clear sign that this is a great investment of your time and your learning development. So at the bottom, I also talk about aligning your MBA or your master's decision with your long-term vision, and of course, also your short-term career goals. So defining your why. I hope you're taking notes, and I hope you'll start to think about your why and how you've arrived at this moment in time to pursue graduate study. We also want to help our candidates understand the program types that are available to you. And when we start speaking about different program types, oftentimes we use the word modality. Modality simply means the way that you're going to pursue an MBA, specialized master's, or grad degree. At William and Mary and at schools throughout the country and around the world, we offer formats that are inclusive of a traditional full-time immersion. These programs at the MBA level are typically 1 to 2 years in duration. They typically require that you suspend your full-time employment and completely immerse in the learning experience. You'll find that these programs are offered in a traditional weekly format, Monday through Friday, and our students will tell you they typically dedicate 30 to 40 hours of classwork, project engagement, meeting with their career advisors, going through leadership exercises with their executive partners. It truly is a full-time commitment. Of course, at our institution, at institutions around the country and around the world, there are also part-time formats. Those can be offered in the evening, they might be offered on the weekend. But the point of a part-time program is to allow working professionals to continue employment while pursuing their MBA study. The best part about a part-time experience is the knowledge that you gain each day as you're in class is directly applicable to your job the next day. So we have a lot of students that will explore a part-time pathway. An executive program is a program that's typically reserved for professionals with more seasoned work experience. We find a lot of directors, managers, or budding, aspiring C-suite executives who come back for the executive MBA format. Oftentimes, these programs will meet every couple of weeks during a month or every month. They typically are held on campus, so students still have that full immersion. And then finally, there's been an exciting proliferation of online MBA opportunities. And these online programs are very good, very high quality. They share the same branding and brand recognition as the residential programs, but they offer maximum flexibility to students to pursue education on a timeline that's right for them. Some of the programs are even offered asynchronous. And what's unique about that is that you truly have flexibility to pick up your study at a time that's most convenient for you after work, on the weekends, in the evening, in the early morning. So an online degree will provide the greatest flexibility, but perhaps not as much engagement as if you're at a brick and mortar campus with a network of classmates. Still a wonderful option if an online modality is best for you. And also specialized masters. Sometimes our candidates will determine that they don't, in fact, seek out to be a future executive, but they really enjoy the deep data dive or doing research and being a foundation for leadership decisions. So in those cases, we will encourage students to consider more specialized master's degree, really becoming masters of their industry, masters of the knowledge base in their particular craft. A great example of specialized masters, especially at William and Mary, is a Master of Accounting degree. The Masters of Accounting typically boast 100% career outcomes, and then it helps our students to gain the hours and the readiness that they need to sit for their CPA examination. So, specialized masters can also be a great choice. Many programs in the US and around the world are now focusing and offering programs that are called STEM designated, focused on science, technology, engineering, and math. These programs are mostly seen in areas such as data analytics or the tech sector, but they are highly focused concentrations that allow students to have outcomes with companies that support STEM employment opportunities. For global students around the world, STEM is very desirable because it can also come with some additional work authorization in the US and attractive opportunities for companies to hire. Additionally, like your undergraduate experience, most MBA and specialized programs do offer concentrations or specializations. At William and Mary, we try to make sure that our concentrations are market driven, meaning they really meet the demands of hot jobs in industry and what the market needs in business leaders of the future. So, some concentrations that you might find in programs would include finance, marketing, consulting, entrepreneurship and innovation, tech and health sector, to name a few. Typically, when you're in a program, the first year will be more of your core and foundational learning, and then your second year will be more highly specialized. So it's interesting to consider what programs are offering you in terms of the concentration. Keeping in mind that most MBA programs also have a general management focus. What you'll find about an MBA and other business degrees is that they're highly versatile and applicable to almost any industry. So we do recommend that you spend quite a bit of time researching and understanding the program modalities, the concentrations that they offer. And then finally, whether you want to pursue a program that is more regional, close to where you live and work, or a program that's more national in scope, perhaps ranked in the top 100, or if you're considering a global opportunity to become a truly well-rounded global business leader. So lots of factors to consider for program type. Moving on, we'll talk a little bit about program fit. So, in addition to selecting modality and location and concentrations, you're also going to want to think about the teaching quality of the institution, how the curriculum is shaped, what the classroom size looks like. Those are all really important features and aspects of your learning comfort. I know at William and Mary, we pride ourselves on teaching excellence. We have a designation of being a public Ivy, and what that means is that our institution remains committed to top tier teaching, and we have the ranks to show it. So I would encourage that you think about the engagement of the faculty. If they're tenured faculty, you can research on websites, faculty research, and what they're up to. You can also learn more about the style of curriculum delivery, whether the curriculum is more case-based or more lecture-based or more team-oriented. If the program provides you project deliverables to work on with that learning team, and ultimately, if a program leaves time for things like experiential learning, perhaps a field consultancy or a capstone project, and time for your summer internship. So, as you can see, I've mentioned a lot of factors in thinking about the program fit and what you want out of your graduate learning experience. Now, the next one I love because I am an alumna of the institution that I represent. I earned my master's degree at William and Mary, and I remember 20 years ago when I was thinking about school culture and values, I was super impressed with the reputation of the institution, the quality of teaching excellence, and then, of course, when I did my campus visit and compared William and Mary to other graduate opportunities, I could easily get a sense of the school culture, the tight-knit learning environment, the small historic campus, and the way that I felt when I was walking through the hallowed halls of William and Mary. So this is an important factor, and I strongly encourage students to visit the campuses that they're considering. The best way to see is to experience a day in the life firsthand. Location is also important, and not just thinking about, do I want to go to school in Colorado so I can ski on weekends, or do I want to be in California or North Carolina so I can enjoy the beaches? But it's also important to think about location in terms of accessibility to industry and where their career outcomes are sending students. So our location is interesting because we are coastal and we're outside of Washington, D.C. But I always tell my students is that because we're so well known across the country and around the world, our students place and have career outcomes all across the US and all around the globe. But it is important to start to research that data. So, what is your school known for? What are its strongest industry outcomes? And where do graduates of the program typically end up? It's a very fair consideration because if you know that you're not comfortable living in a particular region or you desire to be closer to friends and family, then these are all things that you need to think of. Alumni Network. I know many of you are utilizing graduate business education to really start to build your personal and professional network. That happens on literally day one when you're in orientation. Almost every program that I know provides awesome orientation immersion and opportunities for you to network and get to know your classmates right out of the gate. This is such an important part of what you're buying into with an MBA or specialized business masters. You are buying into an alumni network that will be with you for the rest of your life. Those classmates and faculty and alumni and staff will continue to open doors for you, write recommendations for you, and support you for the entirety of your career. So you want to make sure that you can see examples of alumni strength. And a quick tip or hack to understand what schools offer, go right to their alumni pages and see what type of events and activities and homecomings and networking receptions that they're offering. The power of an alumni network is really important, and I feel that it's mission critical to your decision making. Finally, diversity and peer learning. I can't spend enough time on this, and I'll try to keep this brief, but it's one of my most enjoyable parts of crafting and putting together an MBA or specialized master's cohort from where we sit in admissions. We seek out strong candidates who will engage in cross collaboration with peers, will be very active in the classroom discussions and in the learning community. And then we look for that diversity and diversity in all different ways. We look at diversity of academic background, diversity of perspective. We look at the types of jobs and professional opportunities that our students have had, whether they've engaged in humanitarian service like the Peace Corps, or if they've been active duty military and served our country. Of course, we also welcome geographic diversity from around the United States and around the world, and all other factors of diversity that you can consider that really round out and shape our learning community. It's so important to learn from others who see things through a different lens. And I know a lot of admissions directors and leaders spend time really thinking about class composition and how you all will come together. You can get a really nice snapshot of diversity by looking at a class profile on pages and websites, or you can do, again, that campus visit and meet everybody firsthand. We'll talk now about some tips and strategies for conducting your graduate school research and beginning to shortlist the schools that you might be interested in applying to or pursuing. First and foremost, rankings are significant. Rankings are published to help offer a guide. They typically rank based on factors such as career outcomes, academic selectivity, engagement of faculty, success and feedback of alumni. So they're important and they should be used as a strong starting point. I firmly believe that rankings can't be the final decision driver. There are so many factors that go into selecting a school. But I do believe that schools that have a strong regional and national global reputation are a great place to start. And then from there, specifically try to determine how their MBAs and specialized masters are stacking up. These are great starting points. Some of the big rankings that I would recommend are inclusive of course, US News and World Report, Princeton Review, Poets and Quants, also Business Week and Financial Times, to name a few. Those are great guide points, and I think they do a good job in demonstrating a wide variety of schools that come in different sizes, shapes, and flavors. You should from there begin to attend information sessions. It's okay if they're virtual. It's okay if you're signing up to do a regional networking activity, and it's awesome if you get the chance to go to campus and do a more personal campus open house or welcome weekend. Those are great opportunities to connect with current students and also alumni who typically sit on panels during those sessions and try to provide feedback about the outcome and the overall experience that they enjoyed from the institution that you're considering. Alumni are really, really insightful, and you'll find that most of them are so eager to share their time and their story with you as you're considering following in their legacy. So please take advantage of virtual and in-person information sessions to make yourself known among the applicant pool. We've been talking a lot in light of the global economy about return on investment. We certainly want candidates to feel like this investment of their time, of their resources, of their energy, really does provide a strong return. So one of the easiest ways that you can begin to do this is to build out an Excel worksheet where you're taking your total cost of tuition, all of your potential living expenses and estimated expenses, reduce any scholarship that you earn from school, and then also start to line up the salary outcomes of where students have gone and the outcomes that they've enjoyed. You'll start to see what a potential return on investment looks like when you weigh the starting salary at graduation, any signing bonuses that you might receive, and then if the school is able to provide some data on the 5-year progression and the 10-year progression, then it really helps you to start to see what your ROI might look like. I know that I am always so excited that the ROI for our alumni is so strong at the time they graduate and then a decade later. And I've been in my role for 17 years now. So the success stories are plentiful, and I am so excited that the promises we make in admissions pay off for our students. And then finally, we talked a little bit about shortlisting. You've done your research, you've considered the factors. Now it's time to put together a list. I wish I had a magic number to offer you, but in reality, I think it's really dependent on the time that you have to prepare applications, to perhaps sit in on the virtual sessions, and to make visits. But I would recommend applying to anywhere between 6 and 10 MBA and specialized master's programs. At this point, you'll have really narrowed down perhaps where you're interested in studying, what type of program offerings each program provides, the outcomes, and what program is really best suited for your skill gaps and your learning needs. From there, once you begin to prioritize, of course, you'll want to have some reach schools, some really high-ranked, prestigious institutions. You'll also want to have your core targets, schools that you know are exceptional, where you're going to get a great education at an affordable investment and have a wonderful outcome. And then perhaps you also have some fallbacks, some places that perhaps are closer to you regionally, that are more affordable, more accessible, or even just a different modality. Sometimes these days we have students who come into the process really laser focused on a full-time MBA. And at the end of the day, they might get a promotion with their company, get an offer that is too hard to refuse, and they might end up staying in their job. And then for us, they may just switch the modality. So that is another strategy for ending up at the best school for you and still being able to pursue graduate study on your timeline while working. I'm going to spend just a moment to talk about the application process because this really is a part of the fit. Not all schools are looking for the same components of the application. First and foremost, the GMAT GRE used to be industry standard. For any grad business program, you had to submit a GMAT or GRE. But nowadays, you're going to find schools providing greater flexibility in test taking, especially for Beta Gamma Sigma members who are already undergraduate business majors and who have demonstrated their capability with business foundations such as finance, accounting, and other quantitative tools. The GMAT and GRE has always been a good assessment of business school readiness, so a lot of you will find that you already possess that capability. If schools say that they're test optional, and they're trying to keep things as fair as processed through the application journey. What I will say that if you're a strong student, you've earned Beta Gamma Sigma, you're still pretty fresh and you're a good test taker, it never hurts to sit for a GMAT or GRE and keep your score in your hip pocket. Because if you do add a couple of schools on your reach list or even within your target list that prefer GMAT or GRE, then you'll have it on file and you'll be ready to submit it. Next is really crafting that compelling story. So at the very beginning, when I said it's critical to define your why, this is why. Because the first thing that you'll do when you engage with an associate dean or an admissions director is share your personal story. One of the first questions I'll ask is, Danny, why do you want your MBA at William and Mary? Or Danny, tell me about yourself. So having that compelling elevator pitch, that short story about why you're ready to apply for grad school now, where you want to take it, and what you hope to get out of the experience is so helpful. And this also then makes your essay writing really efficient, really clear, and usually it produces a great essay. So as you're taking notes today, start thinking about how does my why tie into the compelling elevator pitch that I'm going to start sharing as I'm explaining to my managers, my network, and my admissions advisors about why I'm ready for grad school. Next, a polished and professional resume. I just allowed our incoming MBAs the opportunity to go through a resume workshop. Surely they've already submitted resumes with their application, but we're offering them a second opportunity to utilize the Mason School of Business preferred resume format and to edit their resumes again, submitting them to our teams for a quick workshop. The reason is that when you get to campus, that document, your resume, is going to float with you everywhere. It's typically going to go right to the Graduate Career Management Center team. It could go to your faculty, and it could absolutely go to your leadership coaches and your executive partners. So please spend a lot of time on your resume. And if you're a little bit younger and an early Beta Gamma Sigma alum, think about going ahead and starting that resume as a tracking document. You'll surely have a lot of content from your undergrad experience, and then each year that you're in the workforce and you achieve more success and opportunity, you'll be able to really round out that resume. Strong recommendations. You all know people who really appreciate you and the work that you've done, the time you've put in, and what you're capable of. Start to keep a little cheat sheet in your notes. People who are my champions. Once you've identified a roster of maybe 6 to 12 people who are your champions, then those are the people that you will refer back to start writing your recommendations for grad school, to serve as sounding boards as you're starting to think about the programs that are meaningful. And ultimately, when it's time to make your final decision, you will be able to connect with those professionals who are your champions. So it's great to start building out a roster for recommendations. I've definitely talked about career goals being very clear and very sharp. Of course, it's fine if you get into a program, you end up falling in love with finance and making your way to Wall Street. But we like for, in terms of applying and selecting schools and kind of thinking about what you're doing, to have the most clarity possible. Some schools and some students do, in fact, have an agreement that if somebody comes in completely undecided, again, that general management might be a nice bucket. It just creates a lot of extra work for the student to quickly catch up and to find the specialization or pathway that's right for them. Even a 2-year MBA program is very fast. And so there's a limited amount of time where students are able to really clarify those goals and get ready for the next steps. And finally, leadership examples. This is a running list as well. In addition to your champions, why are they so proud of you? Keep a running list on your resume or in your notes about the examples of times that you've taken leadership initiative, times you've led teams, times you've influenced. And then also keep a small roster of the leadership qualities that you already possess and ones you want to build, because propensity to lead is equally as important to having led for a decade, because you need to have that skill set and also the ability to build on that skill set in a program and throughout your work journey. From there, I'm going to leave you some takeaways. I'm going to try to adjust my screen and move us up to the floating corner here. Now it's time to prepare to thrive. You've done the hard work. You've done your research. You've utilized as your champions as sounding boards. You've visited your schools. You've sat in on sessions. You've submitted applications. You've earned your seat. You've earned your scholarship and you've made your final decision. So now it's time to thrive. And what we mean by that is the tips and tricks that you can really think about as you're entering a program. It's hard to believe, but in just a few months, we will be enrolling another class of MBAs and specialized masters. And these are some of the things that we tell them. First, you're going back to a school to learn more. I said you don't know what you don't know going in. So adopting a growth mindset out of the gate is so important. And what a growth mindset looks like today is very different than what it looked like 10 years ago. Being self-aware, again, knowing what you don't know and seeking out opportunities to expand your way of thinking is so important. Finally, really understanding the program that you are entering. When my students start in August, they'll have already received communications from their core faculty with mini deliverables. They'll have had some pre-readings to do. They will have done mbamath.com. They'll have done a tutorial to make sure their pre-MBA quant skills are up to par and that they're ready to sail. They'll also have met with their career advisors and they'll have heard from their executive partners. So by the time our students are ready on day one in August, it's like they've already been with us for a couple of months. I really challenge you to do this. Take advantage of everything that the school requires and everything that you can do on your own to be pre-program ready, including setting goals for yourself. One of the biggest areas that I think we can all always work on is time management and really organization skills. So I kind of chuckle when I read this, but time management, organization, and prioritization are so important when you go to B school. I have an associate dean colleague who very jokingly says it's called B school for a reason, because you really do want to strike the balance between earning good grades and learning and absorbing with your professional development. We care very much that our students get through our curriculum, that they learn, but we also care that they've got meaningful capstone experiences, that they're able to participate in sprint weeks, that they have an internship, and that they have a job when they graduate. It's also really important to connect with your future classmates. We talked about this already, the power of the alumni network. But what I didn't say is that that alumni network starts on day one. The first day that you're in orientation, meeting all your classmates for the first time is really day one of you becoming an alumnus of that program. So you'll want to connect with them. I'll encourage you, though, to be very genuine in those connections. Really think about your authentic self. You're all going to be excited. You're going to be a little nervous and you might even be intimidated. So I really encourage you to hang on, to dig deep, and try to bring your authentic self to the table. Remember, you're all on this boat for the next year or 2 years together. You're all taking a leap of faith. It's a safe ground for learning and training. Even in the most competitive programs, you're all in it together. Finally, you'll want to leverage those internships and real world projects. I can't tell you how many times my graduating students say that I landed my job at IBM because I was able to talk about my corporate field consultancy from the second year of my MBA program at William and Mary. I told IBM all about my experience consulting for Centera Health and that I now want a pathway into healthcare consulting or healthcare technology. So really do leverage the experiences that you had, the capstones, the field consultancy, the internships all go on your resume, and you'll find yourself talking about those very quickly when you're in front of employers. I think it's important to say right now that candidates should also be realistic about the economy. Things are a little tough. It's a great time to go back to school, to double down on your investment in yourself as the economy is sort of working through these pains and trying to rebuild. It's a great use of time over 2 years, but at the same time, it forces you to be more realistic about the jobs that are trending now. I talked about our commitment to making sure our specializations are market driven. I also want you to think about being adaptable in a changing job market, having that flexibility, being prepared and open minded to learn AI tools right out of the gate, even if you are, a marketing professional or a finance major, having AI tools is going to be crucial. So stay adaptable. That's the best advice that I can offer at this moment in time. And then finally, the most important one, and I went through this 20 years ago, you need to be self-aware and practical and really thinking about the ROI in terms of organizing and managing your finances. And again, that investment in this learning experience. You know your budget, and it might require that you work an additional 1 to 3 years before you can go to school. I was dead set on going to grad school, but the reality of coming from a small town in Ohio is that I had to work several years professionally to save my funding, to make myself a more competitive applicant with work experience, and then to earn maximum admission and scholarship opportunities. The good news is schools want you. There are plentiful seats and scholarship opportunities to make the burden of studying a little easier on you. But it still requires some planning, and students should be prepared to make an investment, whether that's paying the cost of unmet tuition or managing living expenses and all the healthcare costs associated with insurance, or even planning for that safety net after they graduate. Organizing your finances are super important. And whether you're independent in doing that with a financial advisor or whether you're still with your family, and that's a conversation with your parents or your support system, these are really important conversations to have as you calculate that overall ROI. So I hope these tips and tricks do prepare you to thrive as you think about your next steps and going back for grad study. I want to invite you all to connect with me if you like what you've heard. Of course, you've heard a little enthusiasm for William and Mary and my experience. Your journey truly does start here, and I hope that you now have some tools to find the right fit, and I hope that you feel better prepared. If you are specifically interested in pursuing an opportunity at William and Mary, the alma mater of a nation, we welcome Beta Gamma Sigma members and we offer some really exciting scholarship opportunities for BGS members and alumni. I thank you all so very much for your time, and a special thank you to Matt and Danny for inviting me to share this session. I am happy to leave it open for questions, and Matt, I can stop sharing my screen if you are ready.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much for an incredibly informative webinar. We do have some questions here, so I'll just kind of jump right into it if you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay, so first one we got here is from Mosen. Given the evolving higher education landscape and changing perceptions of institutional rankings, to what extent do you believe university rankings still influence students' decisions when selecting a graduate program or institution?
Absolutely. So, as I said at the very beginning, I think the rankings are an excellent guide, almost like a guidebook. Many different rankings exist and they explain their methodologies and how they've come to their conclusions. And then, what I honestly say to candidates is so long as the institution is reputable, has good accreditation, and ends up on a ranking, you're pretty much in good company and in a good place. Doesn't have to be the top five or the top 10. It could be the top 100. And then that's where you're really going to calculate the overall return on investment. I truly believe that you can earn an MBA almost anywhere, so long as the program, again, is accredited, challenging, and gives you the tools. Ultimately, it's how you network, it's what you do to really demonstrate your performance in the workforce after. So use the rankings as a guide, a starting point, but please don't allow them to be your ultimate influence. I think you can find really good results wherever you go.
Wonderful, thank you. I just want to put this out there too. It's just a general call for everyone. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A feature down at the bottom. Really appreciate that. Moses says thank you, by the way. Uh,
You're welcome, Moses.
okay, so another question I have here is so when you're evaluating an MBA versus a specialized master's degree program, what are the biggest factors students often overlook when deciding which path is right for them?
Right. I think it's becoming a little bit more simplistic in the way that I'm trying to either look for a candidate or to articulate it. I really see an MBA as someone who wants to ultimately become a leader, a manager in an organization, aspiring C-suite who wants to set strategy, lead people, essentially be the boss. That is really where I see MBAs ending up in their careers or being the owner of an entrepreneurial venture, their own boss, their own business owner. Specialized master's students also get a wide variety of leadership development skills and professional skills while they're in their programs, but they're typically accelerated. So it's hard to continue to work on leadership and career development and to simmer over 9 months. So what I really see in my specialized master's students is that they're experts in a very specific field of knowledge. I gave accounting as an example, business analytics, data analytics, AI is also another really good example these days. If you go for a specialized master's in one of those fields, it makes you the subject matter expert in that silo, in that vertical. You're going to be the one feeding information up to, though, a decision maker in most cases. So you don't have to know the breadth, you'll know the depth. And I really think that that's the difference between earning an MBA and earning a specialized master's.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay. Let's see. So what are the most important things students should do in the first 60 to 90 days before starting a graduate program to set themselves up for success?
Absolutely. Go right back to my tips and tricks, the ideas that I left you about pre-program preparation. Your faculty will inevitably communicate with you. Make sure to read your emails thoroughly from them, maybe even read them twice so that they really absorb. If they assign deliverables, make sure they're done well and in a timely and thoughtful manner. Quantitative skills, you've heard me say several times, are very important in an MBA or specialized business master's program. Make sure you've brushed up. I'm not telling you to go back and fully enroll in an accounting or economics or data analysis class, but I am telling you something like MBAmath.com or any of the quantitative boot camps that your program might offer are really important. And then we talked a little bit about career reflection, making sure you've defined your why. Journaling is so helpful. You can keep notes from now until the time that you enrolled and just keep that flow of consciousness, that flow of thought. Why am I doing this? What do I want out of it? What am I sure about myself? And where do I need to identify the skill gaps? What do I do about it then? Just constantly journal in terms of your business and professional development. And I truly believe that when you enter the doors on day one, you'll know your story, you'll be well prepared, you'll be ready to contribute. And because you're going to be relaxed and not so nervous, that's how your authentic self will come to the table.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's see. So, what are some qualities or experiences that business schools are most focused on helping students develop?
Absolutely. All of us want to provide experiential learning. And again, I'll try to keep this very broad because I know all institutions do it. I'm so proud of my peers at other schools when we get together and we say we're all doing good things to build our students. What I mean by those experiential learning exercises, right out of the gate, you could have an executive coach or a leadership coach in your program. Those are opportunities to meet with people who've been there, done that, and can provide that sounding board, that expertise. They can also help you to identify some of the skill gaps that you might not be seeing. You might be a difficult teammate and not recognize it. And that can be a great way to work with an executive partner, an executive coach to begin to build out those skills. Additionally, I highlighted capstones and field consultancies and sprint weeks. Schools really try hard to make sure that you can take the knowledge that you're learning in the classroom and apply it to something that's more realistic or even real life. We all try very hard to work with industries in our region to have those meaningful experiences. I do think you should seek those out in a program. And even if you're going part-time or in an executive format or online, go on the global business immersions, get involved in those activities, save a little time to do more than what your program modality might offer. You'll find that your schools are really receptive, and again, they work hard to provide you those hands-on opportunities.
Thank you. Okay. I have one final question here. And so if you could give a future graduate business student one piece of advice before they start their search, what would it be?
That's a good one. So many pieces of advice. I would probably really start with career clarity. Like everybody has sort of alluded to, this is an interesting time in the economy and the global economy. It's an interesting time around the world and in the business sector. AI is at the forefront of everything that we're all doing. We're all weaving AI tools into our everyday work and our everyday life. So I would say, keep the growth mindset. Definitely be willing to learn and, just approach this opportunity that there are many possibilities, but the further you can start to refine the why, how I'm going to get there, the companies and the outcomes that I'm targeting, and all the key partners and champions that are going to help you to get to your goal. That's really the point of this period of your life, to take you to that next step, to help you to earn that promotion, to earn the dream job, or to even become the CEO of an organization. So, just really doing all the things and really taking that time to review, reflect, define the why, be decisive, show up ready to work hard, network, then I know you'll have a great career outcome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate having you here. I want to thank everybody who joined us on the call today. Really appreciate having each and every one of you here. Um, And if anybody wants to reach out to Amanda, they can scan that QR code, correct?
They certainly can. I'm also all over William and Mary's website for the admissions team, so please feel welcome to reach out or to scan the code.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, everyone. Uh, it's been wonderful having you here today. We're going to sign off here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and best wishes to all the BGS members out there.